Yeah.
Hello, John.
Hello, Warren.
So today we're going to talk about the Burke family once again. On October, which is yesterday, Saturday, 18th, Enoch Burke confronted presidential candidate Catherine Connolly in Limerick City. The incident took place on Bedford Row during Connolly's public campaign event, where she was speaking to a small crowd and a group of pro-Palestinian demonstrators. Burke interrupted her speech, accusing her of promoting what he called gender ideology and claiming that his religious beliefs had been taken from him. He said, "My life has been turned upside down because my religious beliefs are being taken from me." He also asked Connolly, "Do you have any respect for religious beliefs?" Connolly regained calm and replied, "I've heard you." The crowd began chanting "Free Palestine" to drown him out as he continued speaking. The confrontation lasted 2 minutes but quickly went viral online. Here's the interesting part. Later that evening, Burke urged voters on social media to support government candidate Heather Humphreys, marking the first time that he's publicly supported somebody from the current government. I thought that was an interesting and quite a strategic move.
Yes, it was. They tried to speak to Catherine Connolly. This is the second effort. His brother, um,
Elijah.
yeah, Elijah. He tried to speak, and he's a student in University College Galway. But he didn't get much support from the students at that meeting. They shouted and booed, so that's a shame on them. He tried to ask a question about his brother. Of course, he got no response. And likewise, Enoch Buck and his family um, tried to ask a question of Catherine Connolly. They got no response. There, a couple of minders, fairly tough-looking merchants, seemed to try to bamboozle them and knock them off their feet practically. But Enoch Burke, the lad that spent over 400 days in jail for his beliefs, he pointed out to this Catherine Connolly that she was a supporter of the gender business, which has him in the situation that a biological boy or the born male or female, and the idea that any state would interfere with their biological birth is not a good thing. And this government, unfortunately, supports this evil, if you like. And this is the situation that Enoch Buck finds himself in, that he was not going to address a student that wanted to change his biological birth as a male. And that hasn't been rectified by that school ever since, to their discredit. So the Buck family, to my way of thinking, deserve justice, if that's such a thing that's possible.
Well,
It
this is
looks as if it's not, and Enoch Buck is quite within his rights to seek redress. And quite frankly, he's due a lot of compensation for the treatment that he endured. And to my way of thinking, he needs the support of all right thinking people in this country, and not alone in this country, but perhaps further afield. President Trump has now banned children up to 18, and even then, they have to be examined psychologically. Uh, if you're an adult of, say, 30 or something, and that's the way you are, well, then that's a different kettle of fish. But young children that's immature and being taught this gender business in this country, President Trump has banned it. And it seems to me the Buck family there, when Mihal Martin was visiting President Trump, they interrupted. I think they interrupted somewhere at dinner, and I think they are trying to get justice for Enoch. And so President Trump seems to me to be a vehicle that might be able to bring pressure to bear on the state here. That's
yeah,
just an example that I think, if I was in the position of Enoch and his family,
I
Enoch Buck, I would be seeking some help from outside sources that support what he believes in, and he's not going to change his views to regard a boy as something else other than a boy, or a girl something else other than a girl. I mean, it's no respect of religious belief. We don't support such stuff. You're born male or female, and that's the way it should remain.
Yeah, he's been banned from his workplace and has very few conventional platforms left, no school, no union, little institutional backing. Therefore, a public street encounter might feel like the only remaining space where he can directly question a politician face to face. And that's why it's come to these street encounters. And then you can see his brother Elijah. Um, they're left with these are the only options, the only recourse open to them, really. Because and like I'm really surprised that they have. It's a good strategic move to align themselves now with Fine Gael and say vote for Heather Humphreys, because Mammy Burke says that's the lesser evil of the two, and that's her advice. Do not spoil your vote, she's saying. And I would
Yeah,
agree with not spoiling your vote. I don't agree with this crowd that are going around saying spoil your vote. That's not a good idea.
I don't think so because it's just no, it's not. But it's a pity that in this country, that's a Catholic country, that we don't have a practicing Catholic as a candidate. That to me is a retrograde step. The same way, I presume, if you were in a Muslim country, they mightn't be too happy if somebody that wasn't a Muslim or a practicing Muslim was going up for some important position. I don't think it would happen. And so, why should it happen where Catholics should be represented? They weren't represented by the present president. He didn't refer to the Catholic faith or God, even when he was making his New Year's message. So this is not a good thing for respect. And Enoch Burke needs respect and justice.
Now, the
And
thing is, I just want to go back to the vote again for a second. Okay, so Mrs. Burke was saying, okay, to vote for Heather Humphreys and don't spoil your vote. What she's saying there is actually true, because if you spoil your vote, it kind of creates mayhem in the ballot and nobody really knows what way it's going to go. If you vote like Mrs. Burke is saying, okay, for say Heather Humphreys, Heather Humphreys, we know is not a great candidate, okay, but at the same time, it creates certainty. If you vote, don't spoil it, but vote for Heather Humphreys. It's actually a very good strategy, I think.
well, they're doing something good there. I hope that they get some justice for their cause. It's the what I think that a general election might take place sooner than later, and I'm suggesting that people that have strong Christian views, like Aintu and Padre Toby, and that there now is a time for all people of like mind to come together and support a pro-life, pro-family party to try and dislodge this confusion that this government has inflicted on people and families. Families are suffering a bit as well because they don't want their children to be subjected to this gender ideology in schools. So they're having to sort of train them at home or do something. That's a growing feature, or to go to sound Catholic schools that don't permit any teaching of children in this business of the business. That's part of the policy of this Department of Education under the guise of this government, and so we need a lot of candidates to go a different road to respect life from conception to natural death, abolish the abortion and all the rest of it. But as I say, there's a lot of issues, and Enoch Books and his family is a very important issue and should be dealt with. But this country, the way its policies have taken shape, one would despair of a Christian, practicing Christian Catholic if they're in a position where they are not going to identify anybody other than their biological birth, well, then you can be in trouble. And that's not a good thing in a democracy. You respect the religious beliefs of people. You can't expect them to toe the line
That's it.
and
Well, look,
deny what they're taught.
we wish them all the best. We will be doing an election special probably tomorrow, on spoiling the vote on the two candidates and the two-legged race. And so
Yeah, well, there's people support that, but and I can see that they're kind of upset and angry. That's what they're suggesting. But in my opinion, it's better to vote. But that's one of the rights that you have in a democracy.
yeah,
And it would be nicer if there was a few other candidates, them, from the not from political parties, but they stopped that with their policies and both Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. So this is why I think that there's need now for people to join political parties like A2 and the Irish Freedom Party, parties that will stand up for Foursquare, for our history and our ancestry. We were persecuted long enough. We don't want any government doing the same thing.
there we go. Listen, thanks very much, John.
Thank you very much, Oliver.